Hello everybody, I do believe we're live. I think the audio's working. Who have we got? Hey, I hope you're all enjoying this lovely weather while it lasts. Remember, this is Britain. We're not used to weather like this. Next week they reckon what, 36, 37 degrees? Woo! Bring it on. I don't know about you, but I love the hot weather. Hello, Chris. How are you? We'll be down to see you for that. Coffee? I'll tell you what, I'll make you a coffee, but I won't have one. I don't drink it no more. I haven't had a tea or a coffee since flipping last October, I reckon. I had to give it up like everything else in this world. Everything that's good, everything that's fun, as you get older, you have to give this shit up. Kay Jones, hi Kay Jones. Was wondering whether I missed the Wednesday live. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Following my question with regards to temp gauge fluctuating. New thermostat, coolant sensor fit. I remember you said something about that last week, I think, or was it the week before? Yeah, it's not resolved then. Who else have we got? Oh, the problem still persists. One of the garage said that the head gasket is gone. I couldn't believe it. The coolant goes down and doesn't return to tank. If I top it, it overflows after a drive. Well, there's a simple test. Well, there's a couple tests you can do to see if your head gasket's gone. Number one, normally, especially on a diesel, it would pressurize the cooling system really quickly. I mean, like the top radiator hose would be like a piece of steel. It'd be really solid quite fast. They will build up pressure in the cooling system, but not the kind of pressure that's going to like piss out of the expansion bottle if you undo it slowly. So, and then there's another test you can do. Most garages have got these kits. It's just like a little liquid, like a green or yellow liquid, and they put it in like a container and they put it on top of the coolant expansion bottle, and they run the engine, and if this liquid turns like from yellow to green or green to yellow, it will tell you if your head gasket's gone or not, because it detects the gases in the water. That's probably what you need to get done. If it is head gasket, is what engine is in your car again? Is it the 1.5, 1.6 or 2 litre? Because I know the 1.5s and 1.6s are pretty prone to head gaskets, where the 2 litres aren't. So if it's a 2 litre, I will be surprised. Paul and Fiona, hello to you. How are you doing? I did see you left a message in one of the videos. Do you know, I'm about 2 weeks behind on answering messages, comments in the comments section and on the videos. I did try during the week to actually answer. I did a whole boatload of comments to answer, but I'm still 2 weeks behind. So like the previous video that's just gone about the smashed taxi, I haven't answered any of the comments on that one yet, but I'm getting there. When I get another clear night, it's just that every single night there seems to be something going on, and I haven't got the time to sort of like go through all this stuff, but I will get there. Like last night, for instance, I didn't pull the live stream yet on Wednesday because I had to come home a bit early, get cleaned up, and then go up to school with my son because he got a little award for their annual sports events from St Peter's School. So all the kids that had done achievements in their PE and sports, they all got a sort of like they held a big evening for it, and all the kids got their little awards and their little, you know, these little things and little certificates. But yeah, my kid got second in running, so I don't even know what it means. Victrix Ludorum, second place. So I don't know, but he can run faster than me, that's for sure. Mark Chadwick, hi Mark, how are you? Good evening to you and good evening to everybody else. Sam, hi Sam, how are you? Hi Mark, many thanks for another live stream. I enjoyed the video on the taxi rebuild earlier in the week. Funny you should say that. I'm gonna bang on about something else in a minute. Looking forward to seeing some more spanner work. Just getting settled in a few beers. Oh, that's nice. You know, they say accidents come in threes. Well, that particular taxi is all back together and it's done. It's the insurance wrote the bloody thing off. After putting it back, but they haven't wrote it off like oh, it can't go on the road no more. I forget what category they put it in. It's like they write the car off because it was more than 60% of the value of the car. So they wrote it off, but Steve's Taxis buys the car back. So so the car's still on the road basically. It'll have a category, whatever category it'll be. I haven't seen the paperwork, but who cares? It's not like it's a car that you're going to sell on to a private customer with full service history, is it? It's been a taxi all its life. So when it gets sold off, it'll just get sold off as is, categorized as it's been in an accident or not. Who gives a shit? It's been a taxi, you know what I mean? Anyway, yeah. I've got another smash car now. This is number 2, so there's a third one coming up. But this one isn't a taxi. Once again, it's the driver's front, not as bad as a taxi. It's one of the Mark III Mondeos. It's a rental. And I decided I'll do a video on this one as well. I'm already sort of like halfway into it, but it'll be probably by next weekend if I can get it done, because I've got to get like the wing that's bust. I've got to get that new wing and painted. Got to get a door fitted to it. I've done the suspension work on it, but I thought I'd video all this one as well because I like the smash up cars. They're a little bit interesting. I know everyone likes to see a little bit of damage, but it all depends on the time scale of basically getting the wing painted. Really is going to be the main thing. So once that's done, that video will probably go out next week. So Karsten Gottfredson, hello from Copenhagen. Well, hello. I can't believe there's so many people watching from all different countries in the world. It really is quite something. Hi, Pete. Isle of Wight. Nice place. I bet you got the sun down there. Anyway, thanks, Pete. Sam. Hi, Sam. Good evening to you. Starcraft. Hi, Starcraft. Greetings from Finland. Wow. Paul Still? I'm probably saying this wrong. Hi to you, Paul. Paul and Fiona, how are you, Alan, this week? You've been busy? Oh, it's busy every week. It's literally non-stop most of the time. Yeah, that's life, isn't it? You get to a point where you think, like years ago, life was so easy and you had so much free time in your hands. Now it's just like work, 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 eat, sleep. The time seems to go quick. You don't have the time anymore to do the things you want to do. You're going to have to do something about that shortly, because it's no good just working all the time. You've got to have some spare time. You've got to do other things. Take your mind off work. Spiros Devaris, hello. Yes, I'm doing great. How is the heat in the UK? Today, funnily enough, has been like the 23 degrees or something. It hasn't been that warm. It's been a cool breeze as well. But all of this week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I think from tomorrow onwards, it's going to get hotter. They reckon it's going to be well into the 30s next week, especially on Monday and Tuesday. It's going to be in the 30, maybe 36 degrees. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, I love the weather. I love the hot weather. Whenever there's hot weather around and I've got free time, I'll just walk around the streets aimlessly. I don't care as long as I'm walking around in the sunshine. Luke, hi Luke. Yeah, what's that? What's that character off? It's not off Coraline or something, is it? It's one of them little plastic plasticine men. I'm going to service a Mondeo 2 litre. Are they easy to do? When you say 2 litre, is that petrol or diesel? Because it does matter, especially if it's petrol. You'll have to let me know. David, hi David. My Mark IV Mondeo has a fault code and says engine malfunction. Well, the best thing you can do is type into Google P6623 fault code Ford Mondeo Mark IV. And I can pretty much guarantee you there'll be lots of other people who have put that fault code in, and you might be lucky. You might be lucky. Someone might give you the answer. You'll probably get 6 or 7 different answers or no answer at all. You might have a lot of people talking about it, but nobody's actually give the answer to it, which is really frustrating. But I would Google it first. It's not one that I recognise. Aidin Salis. Hello to you. Turkey. Flipping heck. You see what I mean? All these people all over the world. This is absolutely fantastic. Canon 106. Hello to you, Canon. I tow a fairly heavy caravan with my 2 litre Mark IV and am tempted with a set of Greyston's spring assisters so it doesn't sit as low at the back. Any thoughts on these? Do you know something? I have used spring assisters, but I'm going back a long time, and I'm talking about the rubber, I don't know what they're like a big piece of rubber that you slide inside the back coil spring. It kind of if you get it in right on the springs, you can actually raise your suspension, but your suspension's totally different anyway. But I think I can't really answer that question, but I would say the more modern ones, they probably do a better job than what they've done years ago. So if you're worried about your suspension, I know a lot of vehicles, they get the suspension sags down at the back if they're towing heavy stuff. So it might be worth giving them a try just to find out. But I'd say go for it, because I don't like to sit in a car with the back suspension sitting low. So I'll definitely have a go at them. And maybe once again, just Google them and see if there's any reviews out there from other people, because surely somebody else is using them and have put something online about it, so you can get a little bit of an idea whether they're any good or not. Andy, hi Andy. From a not so hot Isle of Man. Oh, we never get it as hot as the UK mainland. Oh, I guess you've got a lot of sea breeze over there though. But I'll tell you something, when it is hot, when the weather is really warm, it is nice to have a breeze. It was like last Sunday here, it was hot. I mean, it was really hot, yet there was no breeze, and it was terrible. You can't even sit in the back garden because it's just full on heat. I literally had to get the bloody fan from upstairs, put it down by the bloody kitchen door, just so I could have the cold air from the air from the fan blowing on me. Otherwise, I would have cooked in the garden. Yes, I'm keeping well. Thank you very much, Andy. Anyway, so yeah, yeah, I love the heat, but I don't like it when there's no breeze. So if if you're in the Isle of Man and you've got a nice breeze blowing over you, that's cool. That's how I like it. That's why everybody flocks to the coast, isn't it? Not just for sand and sea. You catch the sea breeze. Hi Frank, how are you? Help needed. I recently had gear cable replaced in my 2015 Mark V Mondeo. Reverse first and third gear are too close to each other. Is there any way of adjusting this? The gear cables, they're not really adjustable. So, and to be honest with you, I probably have had to replace gear cables, but it's because they get damaged in an accident or something. But the gear cables, they last a long time. I haven't had any problems with the gear cables. I would say, if anything at all, where the gear cables go on to the selector mechanism on the top of the gearbox, you'll see there's like the selector mechanism pivots, and there'll be like a pin, a roll pin that goes through and holds this lever on top of your selector mechanism. Now the roll pin, there's a high chance is broken, in which case if you look carefully at the lever turning, you'll see that the pin in the middle is loose, or the lever is loose on the pin in the middle that it's held onto, because the roll pin's bust. And that's probably why. Failing that, there could well be something inside the selector mechanism. So I mean, generally speaking, these gearboxes, if there's anything goes wrong inside them, it's either gears crunching, stuff like that. But to have a selector problem, I would probably say it's the selector mechanism itself. There's something wrong there. And you haven't got to take the gearbox out for that, because they just unbolt and the whole mechanism comes straight out. You just lift it out. But there, I've had a number of Mondeos where the roll pins at the top, where the lever goes on, breaks. And the lever's sort of like slopping around, and it's not moving the selector mechanism properly inside, which makes your gears all a little bit funny. So I'll definitely check that out first anyway. MK, hi MK, hi from France. Viva la France. I hear Macron's not doing so well. Marine Le Pen is gaining more traction. Of course, I am a Le Pen fan, so sorry, but Spyros, hi Spyros. I have a CV shaft. A what? I have a CV shaft on a Ford Focus, 2-litre diesel, stuck on the hub. Oh dear. Any suggestion? The mechanic says a device to push it will destroy the shaft. He's probably bloody right. Do you know, that's funny you've sent that comment, because this week I had to do the same bloody thing. I've had quite a number of Mark IV Mondeos where the outer CV joint will not come off. I can put the whole drive shaft in a vise, tighten it as flipping hard as I can tighten it. I can get the biggest hammer I've got and I can whack the fucking shit out of that fucking CV joint and it will not come off. Well, I'll tell you something, and this week I've done a Mark V, and we've even got the tool. It's like a mini press thing that you clamp onto the drive shaft, and then the other end goes over the CV joint, and you use the hub nut to wind it, and it's supposed to pull it off. That didn't even bloody do it, so I gave up. What I had to do is I had to take off the inner drive shaft boot and joint, and then pull the outer boot off the long way, and you can do it that way. So there is a way out of it, but it's a Ford Focus. It all depends how the inner CV joint is held on. On the Mark IV Mondeos, if you take the boot off the inner joint, the actual joint won't pull straight off, because the ends of the joint casing are crimped over a little bit, you've got to whack the end of the joint off, and it will come off. You just got to be a bit more handy with your hammer to knock the joint off. Then you can take the free bearings off, and then you can obviously take your outer. The trouble is, if you're changing just the boot, that's the way you'd go about it. Take the inner joint off. If you have to change the actual CV out joint itself on the outer, and you can't whack it off, then pretty much it's buggered. Unless I don't see any way you're going to get it off. I've had these so many years in the past. You can whack the hell out of them and they won't come off. So I would go to an auto part place like, I don't know, Central Auto Supplies, Bennett's or something like that, Milton Autos. Go and get yourself a new shaft, a recon shaft. Unless it's a Mark V Mondeo, they're going to be very expensive. But all the Mark IVs and Mark III Mondeos, they're a lot cheaper. So yeah, yes, I've had plenty that I haven't got off, and I give up in the end. I just get a new shaft. Jack, hi Jack. What do you think of Suzuki's? I'm the parts manager at a Suzuki dealer, that's all. I did have, I'm going back, when was it? 2008 probably, maybe 2007. I had a Suzuki Vitara. It was a second-hand one. It was quite a nice little thing actually, 4-wheel drive. I quite like that. Yeah, I haven't had much to do with Suzuki's, to be honest with you, but generally speaking, when I used to get them in, and ones we did see, they were okay. So I can't really comment too much because I don't really see, we don't actually see many Suzuki's about. So, but yeah, I guess they're okay. Scud, TDDI. Hello, Scud. Felixstowe. My God, I was there, Felixstowe, many years ago. You've got the Pebbly Beach, haven't you? Really Pebbly Beach. And there's like a fairground in the distance, I think. I actually used to like, I've been to Felixstowe about 2-3 times, but it's a long time off. But yeah, not a bad place for a day's visit from someone like, I don't think I'd want to live there. I don't think the beach is quite good enough, but it's not a bad place for a day out. Ed Smith, hi Ed. 2006 MX-5, almost identical to the petrol Focus. That's going through about 1 litre of oil every 25. Doesn't seem to be smoking. If it's going through a lot of oil, and them engines do, that's the Duratec. That's the 2 litre Duratec engine. Yeah. Believe me, there's a Focus I know that's going through. You would not believe how much bloody oil it's going through. And the guy gets out of the car and he says, I don't see no blue smoke. Well, guess what? You look underneath and it's as dry as a bone. So if it's not dripping on the floor, it's definitely going out the exhaust. It ain't going nowhere else. Believe me, it's burning oil. Them engines are literally prone to burning engine oil. It's just, once they get to a certain mileage, they'll start burning oil. If you ain't got one that don't burn oil, you're very lucky. They're a good engine, but they just have a few little niggles like that. So yeah, it might be time to get another engine or get it rebuilt. Craig, hi Craig. I unplugged the EGR in my 1.8 TDCi 2000, and guess what? The engine management light came on with 2 EGR fault codes. Not to worry, I reset the codes. Yeah, it was the early 1.8 TDCi engines, like on the 2008 model Mondeos. You could pull off the plug out of the EGR and it wouldn't bring the engine management light on. But the one I pulled off the other day, it was a slightly different EGR, so I weren't sure about that one. But yeah, if that brings the light on, then there's not a lot you can do about it. They'll plug it back in. I've got a high mileage. Oh, we've just been through that one, haven't we? Paul, hi Paul. Noisy vacuum pump on Mondeo 2-litre EcoBoost. Sounds like an alarm. Can hear it most with engine off, power on. Constant noise, never goes away. Do they stay on all the time then? I really don't know the answer to that one because I've had nothing much to do with EcoBoost, but I wouldn't say it can be on all the time. If there would have to be some kind of electrics going to it for it to be on. If there's no electrics going to it, then there'll be something else that's making a noise. Vacuum pumps, they're for your brakes. So as far as I'm aware, they're all sort of like just mechanical. So they only work when the engine is running. So the noise you're hearing is probably from something else that's probably close by, maybe resonating up through it. Hi Alan, how are you? Flipping it, we're getting through some of these questions today. Paul, enjoy your video you did on the Rolls-Royce day. Oh, that's thanks to Kevin. He's my he's an expert with. Well, he doesn't like to say he's an expert, but he knows an awful lot about classic cars, and he speaks very well. So he makes them videos. So I just walk around with a camera and I follow him. I let him do all the talking. So, but yeah, thanks anyway, Paul. Hi Daniel. Thanks for the vids. I've got an oil pressure problem. 2-litre Mark V at high revs and accelerating from 50 to 70, get a oil pressure low code. Do the pickups clog? 170,000 miles. I've never had an oil strainer pickup clogged. So if you're getting oil pressure low, you've got on where your oil filter is, you've got an oil pressure switch, which could be faulty. They're just an ordinary oil pressure switch like every other car, so that could go wrong. And right next to it, you've got an oil pressure control solenoid. They do go wrong. They go wrong quite bloody regularly, really. So take your pick. I'll probably go for the pressure control, oil pressure of them. And they bring up a whole host of different codes to do with oil pressure. And they can also, when they play up, they can put your engine into limp mode. So unless your engine has got some funny old noises coming from it, I wouldn't like to hazard a guess that there's anything actually wrong with the engine. So, and plus the fact the oil pressure switches are, well, the oil pressure switch ain't gonna be much. The control solenoid isn't exactly cheap, but you'd probably have to get someone to look at it first. If you take your oil filler cap off while the engine's running, you should be getting spits of oil coming out. Not too much though. If you're getting loads of spits of oil coming out your oil filler cap, there's a problem. But there should be a few spits coming out. At least if you can see the oil's getting up to the top of the engine. But it's a difficult one without actually putting an oil pressure gauge, screwing it into your oil filter, oil pressure switch. But who's got an oil pressure gauge? It's like, but no, I don't really have oil pressure problems with them cars unless something's going catastrophically wrong, which is very rare. So I would probably go for your oil pressure control solenoid first. That's the big one. That's the one that causes most people problems on them particular engines. Hi Mark, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. I'm trying to get through these. What's the time anyway? It's been like 30 minutes already. I'm going to keep it to about an hour tonight, hopefully. Hi Sam, glad to hear that you are well. Yeah, I'm still kicking. I've had my dose of. I guess do you know, all through. I've probably said this before, but when I had the flu, it must have been a month or two back now. After 2 years of listening to COVID bullshit, and I can't find this COVID, I come down with this bloody flu, and it wasn't particularly nice, I must say. I mean, it wasn't the worst, but it was like after the flu's gone, you feel like you've been beaten up. You just ache all over, and I guess it was COVID. I don't know for sure, because in all of this time since 2020, I've never taken a PCR test. So, but I'm kind of guessing it probably was. So, but yeah. So I survived that crap. So now, yeah, I'm still kicking. That's all I can say. But yeah, life is good. As you get older, you start eating more healthily. You drink. You're careful what you eat and what you drink. So, well, not all of us, but I am now. I guess a lot of people get like that. You have to start watching the calories. You can't eat this. You can't smoke 40 fags a day anymore and drink a bottle of whiskey. You've got to drink coconut juice and cut the sugar out and cut the milk out in your tea and coffee and all that. Anyway, I'll move on, otherwise I get sidetracked too much. Hi, Danny. How you love my Mark IV Mondeo? Yes, they're very good cars. We still have quite a lot of them. One of them got wrote off the other day, by the way. One of the taxis, the Mark IVs, it got hit up the arse. And well, it's got hit up the arse about a few months back, and it's been sitting in the yard. And it needed a tailgate. Pretty much that's all it needed, a tailgate and a couple of rear lamps. The insurance wrote it off. And that was a 14 plate, but I guess it was the mileage. I don't know what the mileage was, but it was well over 200,000 K. MK, why your taxi company use Mondeo? It is the bad car with more, because the boss, the owner, it wasn't because he's looked at Mondeos and weighed them up against Audis and any other type of car. It's because throughout most of his life, he's drove Fords. From Mark III, his first car was a Mark III Cortina as a taxi. So he went from Mark IIIs, Mark IVs, Mark Vs, Sierras, Granadas, then on to the Mondeos. He's just had Fords all his life. And he's had a relationship with the TC Harrison main dealership from Huntingdon and Peterborough. He knows the salesman. He is able to get good deals. It's like a lot of these cars, he buys them brand spanking new, but he's able to wangle a really good deal. So he gets a lot of money, knocks off a brand new car. So that's you know, it's a few factors like that, but he's just a Ford man. So we were looking. I'm going back now to flipping it, 1995. Before he got the Mark I Mondeos, he was thinking about getting them Vauxhall Vectras that were competing with the Mondeo at the time. And I said, nah. For God's sake, don't get them Vauxhalls. I never liked them early generation Vectras, them Mark I Vectras. Bloody hell. The first time I saw how a gearbox had to come out of one of them things, it's like the whole engine and gearbox was bolted, not to the actual chassis of the car, but bolted to the flicking subframe. And there was a big like cradle thing you had to put over the top of the engine to hold the engine and gearbox while you took the subframe off. It was a right bloody ball ache. I'd done one clutch in one of them cars, and I thought, stuff this never again. And the Mondeos are much easier. Anyway, 087 Mail, how are you? Dublin, have you had any dealings with the Ford PowerShift gearbox? I have to keep saying this, very, very little. Heavy shift when changing down. I change the oil and filter. No, we have very little to do with them. We don't have any of them power shifts. All I've ever done to a power shift gearbox is replace the oil and filter, the same as you. If we have, there's actually no point me telling you where I take automatic gearboxes, is there? But we use a place in Kettering, Midland Automatic Transmissions. The guy there is absolutely brilliant. He really knows his stuff when it comes to auto gearboxes. He does anything we've got automatic. If we can't find the answer, or it means the box has to be stripped apart, because I don't know what I'm looking at inside an automatic gearbox. It's something I've never done, so we send it to him. But I can't help you on that one. I would, once again, like I keep saying, the best you can do is Google your problem, and if you can't find any answers, then try and find an automatic gearbox place near you that have got a good reputation, and try and speak to someone on the phone there, because the people that are probably going to know are people who actually work in these places. That's the best help I can give you at the moment. Dan, hi Dan. Thoughts on a Mark IV 2-litre diesel 90k? When starting, the starter motor makes a high-pitched, loud noise. Yeah, it's probably just on its way out. If the starter motor is starting to make a noise, I'd change it, because if it's making noises, I can tell you something. It won't be long before it takes a dump. And remember, when you start these cars, especially the diesels, if the starter motor is dragging or it's worn badly, it's taking a lot of power out of the battery to turn the engine over. And that can potentially stop the electrics going to other places to actually start the engine. So you can have too much power going to the starter motor, and then you can't start the engine. So if you've got any kind of noises coming from your starter, it's time to change it. Or, because if you don't, you could find yourself getting stuck somewhere just at the point you don't want to. Hi Lee, how are you? Good evening to you. Engo Valley, hello. Estonia, thanks for joining the live stream. MW, hello. My Mark IV's steering wheel front wheels react to the slightest imperfections in the road. Rather than absorbing the bumps, it just makes for a horrible jiggly ride. Any ideas? Well, it could be a whole host of things. Starting off with, I've drove cars before, they've had some funny old tyres on them that make it drive absolutely horrible. So going from your tyres to your tracking, if your tracking is miles towing in or miles towing out or something like that, that can cause kind of problems like that, like you're getting. Or if you've got a problem with suspension, you might have a badly worn joint. It's one of them cases. If it were me, I would check out all your suspension, check your wheels are actually round. You never know, they might be oval shaped. I would check your tracking, and if I couldn't find absolutely nothing wrong with the car whatsoever, I'd be suspecting there's something wrong with your tyres. So, but yeah, you'd have to get it to looked over properly. Luke, diesel. Oh, well, if it's a diesel, there's not too much to do, is there? Oil and filter, that's straightforward enough. Fuel filter. If it's a Mark, did I ask what bloody mark it is? Is it a Mark 4 or Mark 5? Because if it's a Mark 5, changing the fuel filter is easy. And hello. Yeah, on a Mark 5, there's a pump in the tank, so you haven't got to bleed it. If it's a Mark 4, you might have to bleed it after you change the fuel filter. But you can do that with a piece of pipe on your fuel return hose. So, but I mean, air filter, there isn't much you can do on a diesel these days. Oil and filter, fuel filter, air filter. Maybe a pollen filter if you want to be brave. They're a little bit tricky to get to, especially on a Mark 4. But no, they're straightforward enough. It's not like cars used to be, days of old. Flipping heck. Years ago, you used to have to fit a set of points and condenser, check your dwell angle with your multimeter, and then you had to set up your ignition timing. Then you had to do your carburetor adjustments. Bloody hell, there was all kinds of adjustments you used to make on older cars. But these days, it's just change your oil and filter. So it's all done for you by the engine ECU.
What does ECU stand for? Electrical control unit.
Yeah, electronic control unit.
Oh,
Well, some people call the ECU the brain.
yes.
But sometimes them brains malfunction.
Yeah, that's called car depression. Can you do the stuff like this?
Yeah, I'll make the pizza, don't worry.
Thank you.
I guess I'll have to bring it up to you as well, because it's like if I shout up to you, you're not going to hear me, are you?
We have to got my headset on. You can try shout down or try shout up.
I was saying to everybody earlier, you got the silver awards for second place. This was running, wasn't it?
No, that's long jump, high jump, javelin, shot put, 800 metres and 100 metres.
All right, so there's a bit of it running.
Combination of all the events.
All right.
Cool.
But I thought that was really cool. You got second place. It's not bad going.
What was it, like 186 people? Something like that.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Dad.
I might just give you a few quid to go Peterborough this weekend.
Oh, I'd love £3. So grateful. Thanks, Dad.
I'll give you enough for the train fare.
Oh, yeah.
One way.
Yeah, I'll be staring in the shop window just wow. Look at stuff I can't afford.
Anyway, hi Herbert, how are you?
Oh.
Thanks for joining the live stream. Kay Jones, hi. Thanks for the reply. I'll get it checked. Are these engine reliable once the head is removed and head gasket needs doing? 1.6. Oh, is this congratulations, Tyler? Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, man, I need to go to bed.
Yeah, 1.6. They seem to be common, or for whatever reason, the head gaskets do fail on them cars. Yeah, apparently, because my mate Ryan, who works down the other garage, he's done one. He says they're not too bad a job to do, actually. So it's just expense, really, isn't it? That's the problem.
Dad.
Yeah. Sorry? Do gaming? I'd have been good at gaming if it was going back some years. Yeah, I've been doing a manhunt gaming channel. Anyway, you're getting me off track. Yeah, 1.6. Yeah, that says it all. It's just going to cost, isn't it, to get the head gasket replaced? So I've had quite a few 1.6 diesels come through this garage, and they've all had head gasket issues. I think nearly all of them. I think there's only one guy I know that's got 1.6 that's been flawless. So, but yeah, I don't know what kind of price it is to get that done, but It's not going to be cheap, but once it's done, I guess. But yeah, all the same, still get it checked out first with one of them fluid things just to make sure. I mean, you don't want it to be something stupid like a stuck thermostat, because that can happen. Kingland21, hello. Glad I can finally join your live chat whilst it's live. Can I ask, did you manage to sell your old Mercedes Vito van? Also, did you find a newer replacement? Well, no, I don't have a vehicle now. I don't own a car. I keep saying this. I'm joining the Davos lot. I will own nothing and I will be happy. Like fuck. No, I'm joking there. But I don't own a car at the minute. I'm just running around in a company car, getting backwards and forwards to work. But I did sell my Vito. I said this a few weeks back. I was going to put it on. I was going to advertise it on eBay, but because they wanted to charge too much, I thought, stuff that. I put it on Gumtree, which was free, and a couple guys from London come up, paid me £450 for the Vito van, and took it away, and that was the last I ever saw of it. Because I just couldn't be bothered to repair it. I'd had it 16 years. I had enough, no more. So, but I don't have a car at the minute, so I don't know what I'm going to do. The trouble is the price of used cars and vehicles at the minute are through the roof. I mean, I can go out and get one. It's just the principle of the whole thing. So it's like I was looking at Vito vans straight after I got rid of mine, and I'm thinking to myself, I could be paying today what I paid 16 years ago. That's how bad it seems. My van, that van when I got it was about 2 years old, and I paid £8,000 for it. Yet you can still buy an 05 plate today in 2022 and still pay £8,000 for it. I mean, they have been a freaking laugh. It's not worth it, is it? It'd have to be a totally minter, really, wouldn't it? You know, I would want something like a few years old again, but they're asking stupid money. So I'm hoping in time the prices of used cars are going to drop if the world ever gets back to normal again. Hi Steve, how are you? Wrong day, meant to be Wednesday. No, I had an engagement yesterday with the school for the kid, because he was getting an award for the PE sports event awards, because the schools are breaking up next week, so they're doing their evening awards and everything. So I thought I'd go up to school and watch the kid get his award. So it's just these things. As a parent, you don't want to miss these things. That's why I've had to make the live stream for tonight. Anyway, thanks Steve for dropping by. Nice to hear from you. Oh, yeah. Sam, you like dogs or cats? I don't actually mind either. I'd rather have a dog than a cat. But if you know what I mean, I don't have any pets, because it's like I'm at work all day. There's no one here, so I wouldn't have a pet. It just sort of like, you know, pets need attention all the time and stuff like that. And because I'm not here enough, it's like I wouldn't be able to look after it properly, and it would be unfair. So I don't have no pets. But no, I don't mind dogs. I prefer dogs. I mean, I'm not really a cat person. I thought cats are for women mainly. Anyway, let's move on. Robert, hello Robert. Sweden, hello. I own a 07 2-litre TDCi S-Max and planning to install Valeo kit 4P conversion from dual mass flyable to single mass fly. What do you think about it? I've only ever been down the route of having a single mass flywheel fitted in. It was in a Mark III Mondeo 2-litre diesel, which is a different engine to what you've got. It was the owner come back within 2 weeks and he said, take it out, put a proper Ford dual mass flywheel back in it. I can't live with it. The gear changes were too harsh. He just couldn't drive the car. It was too. His words were, it was too harsh. It just horrible to drive after that. So out come the gearbox and we put a dual mass flywheel back in it. I don't know for sure whether in your car a single mass flywheel would make the car okay. The problem is how much is a dual mass flywheel? Because what I'm trying to say here is you're trying to change something to what it shouldn't have been. I know cars of old had single mass flywheels in them, but the dual mass flywheels, they are there for a reason. And the problem is these like higher performance diesel engines of today, that's part of the reason why they use the dual mass flywheels, because they take all the shock, whereas an ordinary clutch cover plate and all that couldn't do that. It's not capable of taking all that load. So I would say to you, for the price, the extra expense of a dual mass flywheel, which probably isn't going to be that much more than a single mass flywheel, I would personally put in the proper kit. And be honest with you, when are you going to change the clutch again? Once you've changed your clutch, if you drive that car and that's your car and you drive it sensibly and you don't abuse the clutch, it's going to last you a long time. So my best advice to you would be to don't get a single mass flywheel, just put the proper kit in it should have in it. Hang on a minute, I've got to sort the dinner. And when that pizza's cooked, I'll try not to switch the oven off and then switch it back on again. No, I'm pretty much on the lines of keep the car as it should be. That's my best advice. I'm sorry, but I don't have much faith in these cheap conversion kits. But Steve, hello. Just brought an 07 plate Mondeo 2-litre TDCi with 280,000 miles with no service history. What should I be looking at replacing? Bloody hell, you're asking. 07 plate. I mean, has it been? It's like, what kind of, is it in good condition? Is the bodywork in good condition? If the bodywork's in really, really nice condition, then it's worth looking at, really. You're really going to need to get it up on the ramp and just check all the suspension out. There really isn't a great deal that goes wrong with them. Just make sure the joints are fine, stuff like that. Make sure that, I mean, I don't even recall having a broken front spring on one of them cars ever. I think I've had one rear spring broken on a Mark IV Mondeo. But that's what one of the good things about the Mark IVs, the suspension seems to last really well. It depends how it's been used from new. If it's been badly abused, you could have a few issues. Listen to the engine. If it sounds okay, if it sounds sweet enough. I've said it time and time again, when the engine's running, it shouldn't be moving backwards and forwards or shaking. It should just be steady, ticking over, and it should sound right. Make sure there's no clouds of smoke when you accelerate. You shouldn't see no smoke come out the tailpipe on one of them, for very, very little. Give it a good drive. Make sure no engine malfunctions come up, anything like that. Definitely check the two hoses from your DPF up to your sampler. There's like 2 rubber hoses that come off your DPF. They tend to burn out on them cars. They get holes in them, and it can give you DPF issues. So just have a good look around it. If you know a mechanic, just get him to do like an MOT pre-check. That's all you really need. They're pretty good cars. In fact, I have got a video on my channel. I've done a few videos on. I think one of them's titled is "How Good Is the Mark IV Mondeo?" It'll come up with a few Mark IV Mondeos. I've listed out different things you should be looking for. So there's a whole host of things, but I mean, as cars go, if they've been looked after, they're not bad. They can do a lot of mileage. I mean, a hell of a lot of mileage, and still be really good to go for a long time yet. So, I think you'll be okay. Just check out some of my older videos. Just type in "How good is the Mark IV Mondeo?" and I've listed in that video a whole load of things you should be looking for. But apart from that, just get someone to inspect it over. MOT pre-check. That'll give you a pretty good idea. ESP Hola. I guess that's España. Hola. Hello. Brilliant. So I guess you're in Spain. We're in Bikini Beach. Can you make a video how to replace glow plugs in Mondeo Mark V? I could do, because I've actually got a Mark V engine sat on the floor ready to go in the next taxi. So I could do. If I get the time, I will. I'll put that on the list of to-dos. Hi Paul, does any of your taxis suffer from DPF issues? Are they common on the Mark V? As far as I'm aware, they're not common problems. Put it this way, if you had on a Mark V, I'm talking about the 2-litre diesels here, if you had a split boost hose or an EGR problem, exhaust gas recirculation issue, that can, or anything else, that there's a lot of things can go wrong sensor wise and stuff like that with your engine that can cause the DPF to get clogged up. If that happens, you have to obviously read the fault codes in the ECU. You then have to rectify the problem. Then chances are you may well have to do a static regeneration of the DPF. I've had to regen a few DPFs on Mark V's, but solely because there was a problem, like solely, more than likely, case was a split boost hose. The main boost hose that goes is the one down by the alternator. The fan belt, when they flap around, they can catch the hose and put a hole in it. So, and then your DPF gets sooted up. But I haven't really had many problems with them DPFs. They've been really good. And I guess that's why if you use the correct 030 oil from Ford, because that's the low ash oil. I know it's probably not the best oil you'd want in your engine, but that's the reason they're using it, is because the low ash of it. So it maintains the DPFs from getting clogged up. But no, they're, as a DPF system goes, and the mileage them cars have covered as taxis, there have been very, very few problems with the DPF related things. I have one particular car, which I'm going to get hold of this guy who was on the live stream last week, this Master Tech from Ford, because I've got one car which is the engine oil keeps rising, and it's not diesel fuel going in through a leaking high pressure pump or nothing like that. I reckon it's probably keeps regenerating itself, and for some reason the diesel fuel is getting into the engine oil. Well, I'm going to have to try and work this one out. So, but it's not bringing up any DPF issues. So, but no, if you've got DPF issues, then all I can say is there's something else wrong with the car which needs fixing first. But the DPFs on them particular cars, it's a good system how they work as well, because they don't have a nozzle which squirts fuel into the DPF. It's all done through ECU, and they've been very, very reliable. Craig, hi Craig. Are you going to fit in that holiday abroad this year? As you mentioned, you had a trip planned. Well, I'm trying to. I can't even do that at a minute because you've got to have the old jab in the arm to go over there, and I ain't taking their pissy bloody vaccine. Do you know what? It's coming out now that their goddamn vaccines are more dangerous than a bloody virus, the bloody COVID. So that's why I'm not going nowhere, because if a certain country wants you to have a vaccine before they let you in the country, they can go fuck themselves. I will wait it out. Simple as that. I'm not playing their stupid little games. Their COVID is a fucking business now. That's all it's become. And if they're going to play them games, I will go elsewhere, or I'll wait it out until they drop all their crap. So no, I go where I'm going to go. I know where I want to go, but until they drop the crap and the nonsense with all their COVID crap, then I won't be going. Anyway, it's moving on. Hi Mark, cold in Wigan. There has been quite a cool breeze today. I've noticed that. All day long there's been quite a cool breeze, where every other day this week it's been hot. So, right, hold on. There's the oven, the electric oven. I've got to get his pizza out. I'll try and carry on chatting while I'm doing this. Metal worker, with the high mileage the taxis do you ever have to clean the inlet tract and back of valves because of EGI and breather system? Or do taxis not? They don't have the problem. The actual throttle flap, sort of like the air intake part, that could get clogged up, especially where the EGR bolts onto it. But we only clean them when we take them off to change the EGR valves. But generally speaking, I've not had any problems whatsoever of the actual carbon getting clogged up. So they just keep on driving them. No problems at all. Doesn't seem to matter. I mean, some of the like oh bloody, what do you call it? Where the air gets taken in for the engine, there's a part of it that connects onto the EGR valve. It's like a little bent-shaped pipe, and they get really built up with carbon in there. Sort of like if the hole was that big, it then becomes that big, really, really small. And so I get a screwdriver in and scrape it all out. But even when the hole is quite blocked up, I'm getting no codes or nothing. The cars still drive perfectly fine. So they're not actually causing any issues. Oh, that's flipping hot. Hi Steve, France. Hello. P003A, but with 16. Has blown my man, not a clue. P003A. Have you Googled it? I've not seen that one before. There's some codes that kind of stick in your mind, but there's other codes that it's sort of like, I have to Google a lot of them as well. Oh, here you go.
I hope you cut the pizza.
They want me to cut it.
Yeah, you're better.
I'm the pizzeria cutter. The only thing is, this bloody pizza cutter out of Wilkinson isn't really that sharp anymore. There you go.
Thank God. So he couldn't be dead.
No, I would Google that code, P003A trouble code Ford, and see what it comes up with. You might be lucky in getting an answer on it, but you know, if it's a pretty rare code, then I don't know. Steve, hi Steve, how are you? Hi from Poland. We've covered a lot of countries tonight. William, hi William, how are you? We only get the weather they let us have. Amazing the people who never notice the chemtrails being sprayed all over the skies above them most days, and they rip us off with global warming. Well, yeah, I know what you're saying. Do you know what? Since this COVID, it's like, well, before this COVID, let me turn this off. Before this COVID, didn't really give a shit about anything, didn't think about much, but now it's all coming out. It's all, you know, it's all coming out about the conspiracies. Yeah, there's a lot of shit going on, and it's not helping us any. So I guess a lot of you must watch Russell Brand. So I mean, he's got a really good channel. He's sort of like he's exposing a lot of what's going on. So it's not nice, is it? You look at Boris Johnson in this country. He's sold everyone out, hasn't he? Sold everyone out for that. I'm glad he's gone. I used to like him for his Green New Deal, his net zero bullshit. And what cost does net zero come out? Do you know what? I keep saying this. This country accounts for what? 1% of the world's CO2. So if they achieved net zero in this country, what the fuck difference does it make to the rest of the world when all their dirty industry is all in the third world, China and God knows where, pumping out all the shit? It's out of sight, out of mind. Yet everybody over here has got to have their fuel bills go through the roof. People can't even afford to run their bloody cars anymore because they're putting fuel up, and it's all being done deliberately. Anyway, that's why I don't watch the news anymore. I don't even have to watch the news. It's just a horror show. It's just bullshit. The only news channels I actually trust and watch now are private YouTubers, because most of them are telling the truth. Anyway, Denshit, hello, Russia. See, we've even got someone from Russia today. I bought Mondeo 2-litre TDI. Tell me please how regular I must change timing belt. Every 125,000 miles. And I think that, what is that, 200,000 kilometers? Let me check that out. Yeah, I'll just have to check on the computer. 125,000 miles or 200,000 kilometers. That's when you change the belt on them. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. See, could there be an oil leak from under the camshaft cover? Nah. No. If a camshaft cover's leaking, it's only going to sort of like, it can only really leak outside. Jake, hi Jake. Turbo related, boost pressure fault, possibly. I don't know what that is. Hi Christopher, how are you? Liverpool. Love your videos, but I've just bought a Topdon Diagnostics, which is very good, but I don't understand the live steam data. So I was wondering if you could do a video, please. It's not, I mean, we've got a Snap-on scanner, Solus Ultra. Do you know what? The trouble is with these live stream data is they're not, you've got to read the manual to try and for each, to know how to set it up and how to work it. And usually if you're using live data, you're trying to capture something that could be an intermittent problem. You're trying to capture something over a period of time. So you've got to understand the graphs and everything as they go along to see what they mean. It's going to take a little bit of getting your head around it. And if I was to try and show that on the Snap-on scanner we've got, it might be different to the one you've got. So this is the problem. There's different systems. So it's not something I really use. I mean, I've used it a couple of times, but not very often. Normally, if I've got a problem on a car, there'll be a fault code logged in the ECU. You can just take the fault code and work from there. But I don't even know if there's anything I've got that you would even need to use a live data on, apart from some of these screens will show you that live data of everything that's happening, that's happening in the car as it's running. So I mean, and also a lot of the figures that you'll see on live data, you're never going to, unless you're really sort of like got the information for them, you're never going to use them figures, because they all, a lot of it won't make no sense to you. So I wouldn't get too overly involved in it. If you've got this diagnostics tool, I would try and just use it for the basics to start with until you learn it better. There must be an instruction thing with it. Anyway, I'm going to move on, because with diagnostic tools, it's sort of like there's an awful lot to go through on them things. It's quite if you've never used one, I mean, it's quite a learning curve sometimes. Colin, hi Colin, new subscriber. Well, thank you. Do you want all the red Mondeo? No, there's a main boss. I just work there. There's a main boss who owns everything. Well, actually, he's trying to sell everything, but do you know what? I actually don't. The boss did own the cars, but he's selling the company, so that they're owned by like a public company now. So, but no, I don't own them. If I was the company owner, I'd probably be in Bikini Beach in Spain, sunning myself. JW, hello. My Mark IV Mondeo, have you ever come across a seized drive shaft in a hub? It took me 2 hours to free it up. On refit, I use copper grease to prevent this happening. Seized drive shaft, yes, plenty of times. You know what I use? Bloody air chisel. Brrr, boom, out. You know, if them splined drive shafts, they go through the hub into the spline part of the hub. You take the 32mm nut off. They'll either come straight out, or there'll be a few taps of a hammer and a pin punch, and they're out, or they can be in absolutely solid. And if they're in really solid, if they're seized in, you have to put the nut, the 32mm nut, back on the end of the threads, because you can't hit the end of the drive shaft with a hammer, or you'll pin over the threads and you'll damage the drive shaft and you won't be able to get a nut back on. So always put the nut back on a few turns. You can either use a really thick pin punch and a big hammer and whack it, and if it won't go in, if it's still solid, then the best advice is get an air chisel, a good air chisel, and that chances are that'll go brrr, and that'll push it out. Failing that, there was one case I did have. It was a Peugeot 106. Both drive shafts were seized in the hubs, which take the drive shafts out of the car with the hubs. We put them in a press, put like nearly 30 tons of pressure on the drive shaft, poured loads of oil down there, tried hitting it with a hammer to shock it as well. They would not come out. And in the end, when they did finally come out, there was that much pressure we used to get them out. They bent the bloody hubs so that when we got the new bearings, the new bearing wouldn't go in the hub because the hub was oval. So it's not good when drive shafts get seized in hubs. Most of the time they'll come out though, especially on Mondeos. I mean, usually a good air chisel will knock them out. But yeah, once they're out, give them a real good clean up like you've put there. Put a load of grease on and make sure they don't seize up again. Andy, hello. 2008 plate Mark III Ford Galaxy. The battery light is on the dash. Had a new alternator fitted and still the light is still on. Had a multimeter on it and getting around 13 volt. Well, 13 volt. Do you know what? Sometimes it's difficult if they've got smart charging on them. If it hasn't got smart charging, I'd say 13 volts not good enough. It should be like 13.8 to 14.4, something like that. But I would personally, I mean, just because you fitted a new alternator doesn't mean to say that it's not the alternator. I've had plenty of alternators, remanufactured ones especially, you put them on and they're still faulty. And then you start to question yourself, is there something else wrong with it? When in fact, you've just been sent a remanufactured alternator that doesn't work. It happens, and it's happened to me plenty of times. But the other thing to do is to check the wiring that goes on the plugs on the alternator. Make sure none of them wires are bad, because that also happens. So tricky one without actually seeing it, but don't rule out the new alternator. Hi Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much, and thanks for joining the live stream. I actually enjoyed making that video. I've got another one. I've got another smashed car which I'm making a video on right now. So that'll probably be out hopefully by next weekend, not this weekend, because I've got to get a few more bits done to it. I've got to get a wing painted. That's going to be what I'm going to be waiting for. The rest of it's going to be straightforward. Jake, hi Jake. It's the Mark V Mondeo King. The only reason I talk about Mondeos is because that's what I've bloody got saddled with to work on. Ahoy from Manchester. Oh, so you bought a Mark 5. Well, I hope you're happy with it. They're not bad cars. They're nice to drive. I say, if you get one low mileage, it's probably going to last you many, many years before you have any problems. Hi, Martin. Have you ever had a problem or heard of sticking EGR valves on the 1.8 TDCi? Mine is 2010. Can we struggle to start and hesitate in acceleration? Turn out the valve was sticking. Yeah, we had loads of them, flipping loads of them. The 4 bolts that undo the electronic part of the EGR valve, if you undo that and take the valve off, there's like a little flap that the valve turns. You'll see a little ratchet mechanism inside the valve, and it goes onto like a little flap that turns inside the inlet manifold. Number one, the pins tend to break, and then the flap stays open, doesn't open and close properly. So we used to have to change the flap, but you have to buy a manifold to get the flap. It doesn't come with the EGR valve. Oh no. But yeah, we had loads of them. The best thing to do with them, I know on the earlier ones, you can disconnect the multi-plug and just leave them, and they won't work no more. But as long as the flap's closed, then it's problem solved. So yeah, we used to do loads, and they used to go faulty quite regularly. Terrible bloody EGR valves. Yeah, the valve was sticking. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't really had many sticking valves, but I've had plenty of, like I say, that little flap that the valve operates, one of the pins will break and the flap won't open and close properly. Then of course it sticks open a bit, and then you're obviously getting too much going through the engine. It can't run. It won't let the engine run properly. No. EGR valves are all very well. It's all emission related though, isn't it? If they're taken off the car altogether or blanked off, the car will run much better, and you have a lot less problems. Damo, hi. Just get the EGR blanked and mapped out since they're nothing but trouble yet. You've just said it all. I couldn't have said that better. Andrew Perry, hi Andrew. I'm thinking of getting a Mondeo. What would you get, petrol or diesel? I don't think it's going to matter what you buy at the minute, is it? They're demonising diesel. Next they'll be demonising petrol. They're all good. I mean, most people used to go for the diesels because diesels used to be cheaper, and you could get more miles to the gallon out of a diesel. But this, you know, when diesels started coming out mainstream sort of thing, the government pushed diesels as the car to get, as the engines to get. Now they're demonising them. Most diesels these days are absolutely super squeaky clean. When you look at the tailpipes on a lot of, even, you know, BMWs are a brilliant example, and even the Mark 5 Mondeos, you look at the exhaust tailpipe on a diesel car, it's clean, absolutely spotless. That's how clean diesels have become, providing the engines are running properly and there's no issues with them. They're very clean cars. They're not really putting out much in the way of emissions. So it depends what you like. Me personally, I would get a diesel, but petrol engines are fine. Whatever you can get, whatever you're happy with. But I would check out the miles per gallon, because chances are the diesel is going to do a lot better on fuel consumption than the petrol. It will be on a Mondeo, that's for sure. I know Mark 3 Mondeos, bloody hell, they can be quite juicy on the old fuel side of things, especially if you've got an automatic gearbox. Timestamp. What is the time? Flipping it, we've been running nearly an hour and a half. I'm going to have to call it a night. Thanks, Steve, for that. And there's still loads. I'll try and pull another live stream as soon as I possibly can. And by the way, everybody, all the comments that you're putting on the various videos on the channel, I am trying to get through them. I'm 2 weeks behind at the minute, but I'm trying to catch up with them. So in the next 3 or 4 days, I'm going to try and go through them and answer as many as I possibly can, because I don't want to get too far behind. So if anyone's questions I haven't answered tonight, I will try and get to you eventually. But anyway, thanks everyone for joining the live stream. I will be putting out more, so don't worry if I can't get to you this time round. I will try and get to you next time round. I guess it's all a case of trying to get your questions in as quick as you can. But anyway, thanks everybody for joining, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you everybody. Take care and have a good one. Put your sunscreen on. Don't get burnt. See yous.